So today I'm going to talk about drawing faces. That's a question I get a lot, and it's fairly difficult for some people. But I started out drawing faces a long time ago, and I say a long time ago, I mean I was 15 years old. So to me that's a long time. And I've been drawing them ever since. So this is how I started out, drawing stuff like this. Little profile caricatures. Got some little whimsical hair. And we would do something kind of like that. I don't know. There we go. Get a little better angle. And that's kind of what we would do. But, of course, you guys, I'm sure, want something a little more complicated than that. So, we're going to work on a little more detail. So I start with an oval, more or less like what you see here. And just depending on what direction I want the figure to be looking, so I'll make a line that just gives me an idea as to where the eyes are pointing. And I'll also make contour lines showing the direction of the face, like that, okay? I try to sculpt out more or less the temple and the cheekbone. See, the protrusion of the cheekbone there is gonna help me determine where the chin goes. See, it all moves in this manner. All right. That cheekbone also tells me where the nose is gonna go. So since I'm looking up in this direction, right? Let's say it's Iron Man or something, and he's shooting lasers out of his eyes. Oh wait, Iron Man doesn't shoot lasers out of his eyes, does he? But whatever, anyway. We'll say that that's what it is there. Just the direction. So we would be seeing the bottom of the nose. You see how that kind of sticks out there? We got to add our mouth in. And since we have a center line, more or less, we can kind of guesstimate where that's going to go. And I say guesstimate because we really don't know. We're not looking at anything, so there's no real definite, place for something or another. You basically just, can put it wherever you want. So anyway, back to the drawing. Now let's work on the eyes, okay? We got the eyeballs working here. And they are balls, so think about them like such. I'm gonna go ahead and draw those in. Usually I don't draw the entire eyeball like I did just then, but I think probably I should. It might help me, determine a little more form, because that's really what makes an object look realistic, or at least convincing that it has like some weight, or is possible in the real world, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but anyway, it looks more realistic if you got some shadows and some shape. And if you're making stuff up, you have to understand form in order to make up some shadows. So let's make up some shadows for this now that we have a three-dimensional form, you know. Let's say, where can we have a light source going? Maybe we'll have one coming from over here and making a shadow on this side of the face. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Let's do that. So here we have a light bulb. Here, let's move that down some so y'all can see it. Let's have a light bulb right here. Okay, and it's shining very brightly. See? All those lines indicate brightness. I'm just kidding, that's not what they indicate. But anyway, so all these areas that are away from the, I'll try to be more serious, I'm sorry. That are away from the light, you see, they're not facing it. Like this surface is facing the light, right? It's hitting it and bouncing off and bouncing back to our eyeballs. So this side of the face, there's no light. Or there is, but it's just reflected light. You know, it's very faint, in other words. It's got a lot of darkness to it. Same thing with the chin. And the bottom of the nose would be shaded as well, you see, because we got this. Now let's worry about cast shadows, okay? Because that's another thing that makes stuff convincing is the cast shadows that it has. Because you can do what we did, which is like kind of a sculptural light, you know? Well, I mean, not really. I think this is like a direct light source, but whatever, we'll work on our terminology later. For right now, we're gonna just try and make it look like it has some shadows. Maybe one of our viewers can Google what the terminology is. How about that? Let's be proactive. Catch me on Google. How about, no, I won't make that joke, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's darken in some shadows. And you know, whenever we do a three-dimensional form, we're gonna have like some really dark darks in there. So you gotta be ready to do that. Ready to make some powerful darks. It's scary sometimes to add some really, really dark darks in your drawing, but man, does it make a difference. So, don't be afraid. If you are afraid, then try it on something that doesn't really mean anything to you, you know? Something that's not that important, that's not an assignment, or that's not a commission, or whatever. But try it. Do it. Do it. Don't be scared. If you're scared, go to church. That's what everybody says. Sorry, I do personations. Not personations, impersonations. I have, you know, a momentary lapse of judgment there, and I'll go into a person impersonation. That was Arnold, in case you didn't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governor, the #1 and only. One of my favorite heroes on television. Actually, I guess he would be like the big screen. Did he ever do any TV? I don't know. Am I talking to myself? No, of course not. You guys are listening. I mean, in reality, I'm talking to myself because I'm making a recording. But, all right. Back to the artwork here. So we're gonna make our eyes look like they're actually sunken in by deepening some cast shadows here and there. And there's a little tiny area of highlight that catches some light as it comes across there. You know, I only know this because I've been doing, Ellie, are you okay, girl? That's my puppy, Ellie. She's coughing over there. Come here, Ellie. Let's say hi to the people out there in the world. Oops. Oh my gosh, Ellie. Here. You don't like the camera? You're camera shy? Here, let me see. Oh my gosh. No. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we're gonna go ahead and keep it a drawing show. No wonder the talk shows like to have the animals on, because they're just unpredictable. But anyway, back to what I was doing here. So that's more or less how we compose our three-dimensional sort of rendering of objects. Face in particular. That's a little more advanced. Just slightly. It's also important to leave that little highlight that the bottom eyelid makes. That really makes a big difference in the way stuff looks. You know, you gotta not just worry about the shadows, but the little highlights that show up here and there. They're kind of not necessarily very apparent most of the time. Like, you know, this one, for instance, that little highlight right there, it's kind of a tricky one. You know, you wouldn't necessarily think there's a highlight there, but there is. You would say, maybe there's one here, but most of the time there isn't. So, let's zoom out again. So there you go. There's one way to compose your three-dimensional face. A little shadow edge here. And you could turn it into whatever you want now. I mean, if you're gonna do like a crazy tattoo with some biomechanical robot bones or something, then you would compose it the same way with 3D shapes. Let's see, it would come down, and if I were making a robot, I would put fancy little ribbed markings here and there, just to show that I had attention to detail. There would be some teeth, I'm sure. That's my puppy making that noise, in case you're wondering. But anyway, that's our little tutorial for a face for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.